Hi everyone, welcome to the Mother of All Grief.
Hi there.
So today we are talking about our kids' stuff because
what do you do with it after child loss?
Yeah, their bedrooms, their toys, their clothes.
We just kind of wanted to talk about different topics that we struggled with and to continue to, and just maybe even what other people might want to hear about.
Yeah.
Or if you have questions, we want to hear your questions too.
Definitely. So I want to know, Marin's bedroom, is it the same? Is it changed?
Marin's bedroom is basically, if she were to show up tomorrow, she could move right back in. So it's one of those things that it's almost like, I don't want to say embarrassing because I'm not really embarrassed, but no. I find comfort in her room. And so much of our life is so different without her that we like having her room.
Yeah.
At least for now.
It's like a physical photo album. You can go back and it's still all there.
Yep.
I think that would be really comforting.
Yep. What about you?
So I know I talked about this before. Tyson's bedroom wasn't really his bedroom. His stuff was kind of divided between an upstairs bedroom and a downstairs bedroom. And his bedroom, it stayed the same for a while until we were kind of forced into making some changes. We had some damage to the floors and to the walls.
Right, because it's in the basement.
It's in the basement, yeah. And so we had to rip up the floor, and his box spring.
That must have been...
It was hard. I think it was less than a year after he passed. Ready. And I didn't feel ready, but I took it very much as this is Tyson pushing us. Being like, I'm actually not attached to this room.
Interesting.
Change it into something you love.
And rip the Band-Aid off, Mom, throwing you into it.
That's right.
Yeah. Interesting. That's so true. Marin's dresser is still full of clothes. I can't change that. I don't know. It's so strange. But we, for a while, I think, and even for some people in the family, it's hard to go into that room and they just avoid it, which is fine. But her bedroom door, did you ever do the Valentine's on the kids' doors? Of being I love watching you play piano. Ada's would say that.
My boys have that on their door right now.
Okay, yes. Yeah. Oh, wait, because it's close. So we always would start the beginning of February that you'd write these things. Well, Marin still has from her last, and then the following year we wrote I miss playing games with you, or I miss your smile, the things that we all love. I don't know, because again, that's just our thing.
And just throwing this out there, because I definitely feel moved by spirit. Marin, to me it feels like Marin has an attachment to her bedroom, and therefore you guys don't feel that nudge to change it. Because if she wanted you to change it, I think she would find a way, damaging the floors and walls.
Exactly.
Right?
To just be hey, you need to do something about this, right?
So I think you could probably find comfort in that, in knowing that you're not stuck. This isn't oh, I'm not healing because we haven't changed her room, but almost treating it as this is how we honor Marin. This is her space. This is her room, her things. We love it. She loves it.
Yep.
I think it's great.
It was the first couple months after she had passed, Ada got sick, and she started sleeping in there when she was sick. And it was just really sweet. To feel that was where she felt more comfortable than in her own bed.
Ooh, that gives me chills.
I know, kind of beautiful. Obviously awful, but so sweet.
That they can share that.
Yeah.
It's sharing a bedroom.
Kind of, yeah. It's cool.
Does she still sleep in there?
She does now, because she wanted a vanity in her room. She's, of course, 10, almost 11. So she got rid of her bed, and now she's sleeping there. And again, we like going in there.
Mm-hmm.
But
how does it make you feel, say, going to wake Ada up in the morning and going into Marin's room to do that?
It's still strange, actually.
Yeah?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. Because I think that, I don't know how you feel even, but even when we go away on a trip, I still come home and I wish that I'm coming home to Marin there too. Yeah. it feels like you kind of get this like break away from your life, and you're on a holiday, or like I was just at a training last week, and it was just like coming home is still hard because I wish that I was coming home to that life that I
absolutely,
wish that I had still.
Yeah. I know a lot of people, they kind of go through this process of having another child move into their child who's passed away's bedroom. And I know even for our family, we've kind of toyed with that idea of moving our oldest into the basement, and he's all for it. He's excited, and we kind of told him like it would almost be like sharing a bedroom with Tyson.
Oh, good.
Right? And that made him feel good. But I know some people aren't okay with that. And I think either are fine, right? It's when you're ready or how you feel moved to.
Or like if we turn it into like an office, then we'd spend more time in there, and that's kind of nice. Like sure, her bed's not there, but like if we left the walls the same, I don't know, we're still kind of in that. I mean, I am interested in rolling with it. But the other option was like, what if you moved? Like some people have to or choose to. Like they say like the loss happens in their home and they don't want to be there anymore.
Right.
Have you ever, well, obviously you guys won't move, but.
No, we're pretty rooted in our home. But I do know people who moved voluntarily and involuntarily. And I've kind of watched them move between that. And there are people who were like, that was the best choice ever.
And like, do you give them a room there?
Right.
Like, because that's what we were for a while, like pondering moving. And I was just like, so then does it need to be, have so many bedrooms so that we still have Marin's room? Like, but Marin never lived there. So that would be strange. But then what do we do with her stuff? And then do we have to get rid of her stuff? Like, what happens with that? So I'm always curious to what other people do in that.
I honestly don't think that there's like a right or wrong way to do it. And I think that, like if I was in that situation, I'm just trying to guess how I would feel. I don't know if I would have a room for Tyson, but I would definitely have a designated space.
Like an honor.
A mantle or, I don't know, do you call it a shrine?
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't think so.
But like, I also think that as you grow, like, let's say as you age, and maybe you need to downsize, because for us that could be a reality. We're in our 60s or 70s. Like, I can see myself definitely not having like a bedroom, but yeah, like a little corner on a shelf or something like that. But the
shrine is a bad way to say it, but like it kind of is.
I feel like my whole house is a shrine.
I know, same. Like, and I think it's actually uncomfortable for some people to come because it just like takes them to their loss. But for me, it makes me feel like she's around, and I like to keep pictures of her and things of. I don't know.
Tyson actually gave me this really interesting lecture, I guess you could call it, once. We were kind of putting up a new shelf in our living room, and we've got pictures on the fireplace, we've got pictures on the bookshelf, we've got pictures everywhere, and my instinct was, we're putting a new shelf in this area, it needs a picture of Tyson. And he said, Mom, like I could actually hear his voice. He was like, Mom, we don't need another picture. How about something else that honors me? And so to look at this shelf, you would never know it, but I actually framed a piece of his artwork, and it looks like it's like some like beautiful splatter painting, like maybe I paid a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's just a 2-year-old's artwork.
Yay.
And then I got this little frame on it that said like, merrily, 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 all is but a dream. Because he used to sing that all the time, but he couldn't sing it right. So he'd be like, me, 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 me. Like he couldn't say merrily. It was so cute. And so like I have that, and I have some plants on it. And it's like, to someone who doesn't know that, you would just think, she's got stuff on a shelf. But
to you, it still feels like Tyson is on the shelf.
It's like some of his stuff.
I like that.
His artwork.
I really like that. And like, what about his stuff? Like, at least at your house, you had another younger sibling to wear his clothes.
I didn't allow that though.
You didn't?
Nope.
Yeah.
See, like, and that's another thing I have heard people say, like, it brings me so much comfort. I was like, absolutely not. That was Tyson's. And I know it kind of bothers my husband, and And this sounds awful, but we have some of, like, all of our kids were little, right? So some toys were Tyson's toys, but others were like, yeah, Tyson played with that, but so did all the other kids.
Right.
And so I've kept a lot of the ones that were like sentimental, but they're just in the basement. For a while, we had a toy box in his room that was just full of some of his toys, but mostly I have 2 boxes in my bedroom. One is kind of like his baby box of, you know, all the things you put in a kid's baby box. And then the other one has like his special toys, his special books. And then, of course, I've got a couple boxes of his clothes that are just in my closet. And my husband, from time to time, he's like, can we move those? Like, it makes me sad to see them there. But because I never really felt like Tyson had, like, a bedroom, because he was, you know, shifting between bedrooms, trying to figure it out, now it feels like, well, this is Tyson's corner where I just keep his stuff. And even though I know it's kind of painful for my husband, it's like, well, sorry, but I need to look at it every day next to my dresser. And it sucks. Like, I wish we had this scenario where his bedroom was filled with...
That you could escape there. Yeah.
Yeah.
To have a place. Marin has so many toys. Like, and so that was a hard thing. So we donated a lot to like her old daycare, and
oh really,
we sent some to like, because we had so many learning things, because of course with her being in a wheelchair and then losing a lot of her mobility, we did a lot with her. And so she had lots of toys that she could do on the tabletop kind of type thing, or sit on the floor and play. So like her Peppas, we can't give those away, or like there's some pieces, but we were happy to like pass on to her friends, because then they're like, I get to play with Marin's toys, you know, or like the school, we did some of like the learning things. It's tricky to know what to do with things.
What about her clothes?
They're still in the drawers.
They're
like,
just, I
went through
that.
Yeah. So, but like my mother-in-law did make me a quilt, like of a bunch of things. And then we've got a lot of others, which I've done with my girls the whole way through. Like even if Ada wore like what we used to call her uniform, because you know, the thing that your kid is like always wearing and you have to wash it all the time. So she made a beautiful quilt of like all of the like both of the girls' things. And then our plan is with Marin's stuff to do that again, of course, with all the panda jams and all the panda stuff. But I just can't. I want to do it, and I just feel like I haven't had the time yet. So I want to like soak into that and spend time with that. But I just haven't been able to do that. We did get rid of a lot of her clothes that were like, that she had outgrown. But what's in her dresser is still full. I can't do it.
Do you ever take her clothes out from time to time and like...
Yeah, but they don't smell like her anymore.
No. Yeah, that's true. And to be honest, my kids never, I don't know. I don't want to say they didn't have a smell, but I would hear people say, oh, it smells like my kid. And I'd be like, I don't know what Tyson smelled like.
Like your laundry soap.
Like
that's...
But I used unscented stuff because he had such a
sensitive boy.
Yeah, he had really sensitive skin. And so I was like, I don't know, like... smells like pee.
Baby, like her baby shampoo. Like it's just like when I still smell that, like you can smell it in the bathroom sometimes. It's just like, oh, it smells good. But I don't know. Marin did have a smell just because of all the supplements and different things that she took. But I don't. That just goes away, which is sad.
It is sad. I sometimes take out. I say sometimes, maybe once a year, I'll take out his clothes and his shirts in particular, and I hug them.
Yeah.
As if like I'm hugging him. And like I've asked my husband, do you want to like sit with me and go through the clothes? And he's no.
Guys are just so different.
Yeah. He'll go through the toys. Like we did that on Tyson's birthday, I think, last year. And we just, as a family, we all kind of shared the different memories. And well, okay, so this takes me to my inventory.
Oh yes, do this. This is funny.
Okay, so talk
about the weird things that grieving moms do.
It's so weird. So I would say probably in the first 6 months into our grief, I was so worried about forgetting memories, forgetting which toys were his favorite. So I pretty much went around the house and collected everything that was his, put it in a box, and then I started taking an inventory of everything. And it could be like my OCD, like type A personality as well. But
I think that's like a journaling. Like,
Yeah.
I know you can call it like inventory and I can make jokes about it, but I think that it is like that's a way of you journaling, like you say, so you don't forget. I feel like it's kind of beautiful.
I quite like it because there have been moments, even now, I'll go back and read. So I'll write like, oh, this toy, and then I'll write, like if I can remember who gave it to him, or a memory attached to it. Or,
that's nice to have that too.
Yeah.
To like, just so that you're kind of jotting it all down of like what parts of that, why is that important to you?
Yeah.
I think that's actually smart. Maybe I need to do that. And maybe I could get rid of some things if I wrote about them. Yeah. That's very helpful.
No, and you're right. I think it is like a form of journaling, but it was a good way for me to I didn't want to forget.
Yeah.
And even now, like my kids have gone into Tyson's box of things, and I'm less strict with it now. Like they'll go and get some of his books, and then I'll see it on their bookshelf a few months later and go, oh, like, okay, well, I know that that's Tyson's book, so then I'll eventually put it back. Or, if we're going through the toy box, and my husband went on a cleaning spree, and he was like throwing out like toys that are like half missing parts, and I'm looking at it, and I was like, oh, there are some of Tyson's things in here. Like, what are you doing? Don't throw anything out. I have to go through it all.
And then you attach to something totally different than he would.
Right. Yeah. Like the little ball from a fishy toy that he had this fishy bath toy that he asked me to pry open to get the like little balls in it. And I randomly one day found one of the balls like under a couch, and I was like, oh, that goes in a Ziploc bag, like Tyson's fishy toy ball. I was standing at the kitchen sink when he asked me to break his toy apart.
But you wanted to save that memory.
I did. I wanted to save it. And I don't know, because I have to feel like at one point, will I kind of roll my eyes at that and be like, why was I keeping all of that stuff?
Or will his brothers ask for it?
Maybe.
Like, you never know if they're going to be like, hey, Mom, remember this thing? Where is that? I think that's the part about grieving with more people in the house is like, you never really know where everyone's at.
Yeah.
So on that, a couple months ago, Ada and Scott, I was gone for the weekend, and when I'd come home, they'd clean the bathrooms before I, like, to clean up before I'd come home, which I was like, sweet, like, how nice that you guys are doing this. And Ada's just like, yeah, like, we had so many toothbrushes in the bathroom, I threw out like 8 toothbrushes. And I was like, you threw out Maren's toothbrush? And she's like, yeah. Scott's like, oh, it's probably just in the garbage. I'll go get it. And I was just like, no, it's okay. Like, so then I instantly was like, but the look on my face, I think, was like, I've cleaned the bathroom how many times, but I want to still look at when I'm brushing my teeth and see her toothbrush. Why? Like, she's not going to use that toothbrush again, but it's still like that family of 4 piece, you know, of just being like, your toothbrushes are here, my toothbrush is here, and when I get ready, I still see, like, why?
Yeah.
Like, am I a hoarder? Maybe. But, like, I just didn't want... And then I was like, am I ruining her healing by, like...
It's hard to know.
I don't know.
So what did you do? Did you
fish out? Found them. Yeah. He's like, no. He's like, it literally just happened. Like, I'll go get them. And I was like, no, it's okay. You don't have to get them. And I was just like, okay, maybe just get the Winnie the Pooh one. Like, you know, like...
But that's progress, right? Like, instead of keeping 8 toothbrushes, let's just narrow it down to, like, my favorite just toothbrush.
Right? Oh, my gosh.
It's okay. So silly. We kept Tyson's toothbrushes in a Ziploc bag. I can go a step further. We kept, he had, like, a puffer that...
Like an inhaler?
Like a little inhaler. Because, anyways, he had bronchitis when for his 3rd birthday, actually. And this inhaler had, like, bite marks all over it. And I'm just, like, waiting one day for, like, these different medications to, like, start a chemical fire or explode or something. But I'm like, I put them all in bags. I'm like, no, we're actually going to keep that.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, I don't know.
Okay, so in my... this is another weird one. But in my kitchen window, Maren would, liked suckers. And so did you ever give your kid those, like, vitamin D drops?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we just continued to give Marin, like, that way. And so we'd drop it on the sucker and then pop it in her mouth, and she would suck on it for a little while. But, of course, she was weak, so she would only ever have a sucker for a little while, and then she'd be tired of it, and we'd put it on top of the wrapper, and then, like, she'd have it again the next day or a couple hours later, whatever. There's a sucker sitting in our kitchen window still, and it's been almost 2.5 years, and I'm like, I like seeing it there. Because for so often we had one sitting there that she was like using a sucker, and this sucker is still sitting in the window, and it's got like, I sometimes rinse it off because it has dust on it or something.
But it takes you back to your routine.
And it's just like her thing. Like, I think that you start to, as they've been gone a long time, you start to run out of their things in the house because you've like evolved in some ways, but you still want them there, and you don't want it to be sad, and it's just like, oh, there's your sucker. Like, I'm sure at some point I'm going to throw it out.
I'm sure you will, but when you're ready.
And make sure that it's okay with Scott and Ada.
Yeah.
You know, like,
family meeting.
Yes. Can we get rid of this? And I'm sure that there'll be some rolling of the eyes at the time, but you never know who it's coming from.
Finally.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know, there's a lot of quirky things that I think are just so special to the individual, and right, like what may not be important to Scott is important to you.
Yeah.
And I think as moms, like, let's say if you were a stay-at-home mom, you knew everything that was going on, everything they were touching, and that's just our job as a mom, is to just know our children inside and out.
Yeah.
And
like, you can catch them in something before they've done it.
Yeah.
Because you can see the wheels turning, and you're like, I know what you're up to.
We had this big joke when we had to redo Tyson's bedroom. We're moving out his bed, and, like, we hadn't done that. And just finding, like, some of his favorite books. You knew it was a favorite if he had, like, shredded pages of it. And so, like, I found ripped up pieces of paper from some of his favorite books. In the spring, we had found, like, you know, those pool noodles. He would, like, bite chunks of them and, like, spit them all over the yard. And I, like, went around picking up all the pieces, and, like, I have baggies of ripped paper and baggies of ripped pool noodles.
Just because you couldn't get rid of it.
Stashed away. And, like, if I were to go back now, I probably could. But I feel like there's a bit of, like, that avoidance piece in that I'm not quite ready to deal with that. It's not that I'm overly attached to these things, because I'm not going to be passing on the ripped up paper to my kids one day. But, like, it's almost like now I can look back on those things, and it's like, oh, this is a good laugh. Look at Tyson ripping up his books. And, oh, can you believe that I kept this? And, like, we can almost find humor in it now, and maybe that in itself is healing.
I would think so. Because at the time, you're just, like, clinging to anything that you can grasp onto.
I think that it can be really difficult to go through it all. And like you said, what do you donate? What do you keep? What do you change into a quilt? Like, those quilts I've seen are beautiful.
Yeah. Or, like, do I need to offer it to, like, our extended family before I ever try to, does somebody want to cling on to something? You know, you never know what they're feeling, too.
Right. But then it's like, how are you going to feel if you get rid of those things?
I know.
Like, I have, when the boys were, I guess Tyson would have been almost 1 and Cohen was almost 3. Cohen wanted to go for Halloween as a ghost. And so I made them, like, these little ghost ponchos, and Tyson's was so cute. It was like a smiley face, and it was just the cutest thing. And, like, maybe a year later, someone on Facebook was, like, looking for a ghost costume, like a cute ghost costume for a baby. And my friend had tagged me in it. And so I sold Tyson's baby ghost costume. And when he was 3, he went as a one-eyed monster. And we borrowed the costume from my friend's sister. And so after Tyson died, I asked her, I'm like, could I have that costume back? Like, I'll pay you for it. I need to have all his costumes. And there's still a part of me that, like, wishes I had his little ghost costume.
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening out there who bought a ghost costume,
that's so funny.
I want it back.
Right. See, like, these are the crazy things that we do. So Marin had like this panda costume we bought off of our old neighbor, actually. And it didn't really fit her very good, but she wore it for like 3 years in a row because it was big at the end, and then it just like fit her as it went on. But she wore this panda costume like forever, so I can't get rid of that. But the one year she was also Elsa and Peppa. And like there was this other little girl that we ran into at hockey one time, and she loved Peppa, and I was like, oh well, do you want to be Peppa for Halloween? And I was able to pass it on, and I love that, like that. I'm just like, and we got rid of a bunch of Marin's Peppa stuff, and I think Marin was still alive though. We gave a bunch of the Peppa stuff to her because it was just like great that somebody else can love Peppa as much as they did, or as much as Marin did.
For sure.
But yeah, I think that that's okay to want to cling on to those things.
I think just in having this discussion, we can kind of come to the conclusion that there's really no right or wrong way to go about.
And like disregard, even if people think we're weird, I don't really care. But
do what makes you feel
and
good.
not judging other moms that because even this happens with living children.
Yeah.
Like the things that you want to hang on to, like, yes, if I could contain it all to one box. I wish I could be more of a minimalist person, though.
Yeah.
I'm not real good at that, but
like keeping your kids' first haircut pieces, or you know, when they lose teeth.
Do you keep the teeth?
I kind of stuff them in a drawer, more or less. Like I'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I don't know which one was Cohen's or which one was Tanner's. Like I'm not keeping them sentimentally. It's just, you know,
they're still there.
They're just there for now.
And if you had to move, then it would be different because you're like, I had to like empty out the drawer,
go through it all, and kind of declutter. But I think we're all just trying to do the best that we can.
For sure we are.
And whether you've kept your kid's bedroom exactly the same, whether you
like some people had to totally like clean it all out and be like, like you never know how people are in their grief journey of what they needed,
right?
And I don't like no shame in that.
And if you were forced into it, I think before you felt ready, I think that there's like meaning behind that.
Yeah,
like lean in and trust that that's how it was meant to be. Maybe this is a step that your loved one on the other side is trying to get you to recognize and be like, you know what, this is going to be better for you, or better for the family.
The nudge for their healing.
Because like our kids in spirit, our loved ones in spirit, they don't want us to, I mean, they don't care about their belongings, really. I mean, I think they're happy if you're happy.
Right.
I think they can have fond memories of, yes, their bedrooms or their home, but at the end of the day, they just want you to feel at peace. And if that means having a closet full of their clothes or keeping old medication and dirty suckers, I think that's perfect. We're all just trying to do the best that we can.
Yeah, I agree. That is how it is, for sure.
So if you guys have any questions, we would love to hear from you. You can comment below this video, or you can send us an email to themotherofallgrief@gmail.com. And thank you just so much for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening to us today, and click to subscribe, and we can keep track of things that way.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Have a good day.